The Supreme Court of Kenya has ruled that LGBTQ community have the right to association.
The decision by 3 out of 5 judges hearing the matter now puts to rest an almost 11-year legal tussle.
Since the Supreme Court ruling, there's been quite a lot of backlash. What we saw quite immediately was like a very clever way of changing a narrative, right? Where basically what was broadcast was not actually the decision of the Supreme Court.
There is a progression, very intentional and deliberate progression of the LGBTQ agenda, which is a threat to the national fabric and a threat to the family order, a threat to our culture, a threat to our morals, and a threat to the way we do life as Kenyans.
That judgment which was made by the Supreme Court is null and void.
We've seen them basically try to bully a judiciary to go back on its decision with no new evidence, with no new calls for a judicial review. My name is Njeri Gateru. I work as an executive director for the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. It's been about just roughly 2 months since we got a decision from the Supreme Court on our case on registration of the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission. This is a case we've been working on for the last 10 years and have litigated through the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and finally the Supreme Court. The final ruling, basically just affirming what the decisions of the lower court had been, that we were quite within our rights as an organization to want to register as an NGO, and particularly an NGO that works to protect the rights of sexual and gender minorities in Kenya, that's LGBTQ folks. Within it, the decision also would ask for the expansion of, what kind of people in Kenya are protected constitutionally, and even in that protection then have the right to associate, to join or form an association.
Homa Bay Township MP George Kaluma indicates his intention to bring to the House a bill that proposes legislation to criminalize and punish homosexuality and other unnatural acts, as well as the promotion of such acts.
Today, we just received a draft of the bill that's intended to be gazetted in Kenya, which is framed as the Family Protection Bill, but a lot of us are calling it the Deadbeat Bill. It's incredible how this particular Kenyan bill has nothing in the way of protecting any families in any way, but it just seeks a hefty punishment for people identifying as queer.
Currently, under the current law, if homosexuals, the people who engage in homosexuality, do so by consent, the punishment is 7 years. And so we are increasing penalty. In some cases, it will be life imprisonment. In cases where there is no consent, we are going to institute death penalty.
The thing about the rights of minorities, if they're not protected, and if we're not deliberate about protecting those rights, then they get rolled back so far and so quickly. Now they've come for the gays. You're not a gay, so you kept quiet. They'll come for the women. You're not a woman. You kept quiet. Then they will come for you. And when they come for you, there will be no one to speak for you because all of us died. We've seen this wave in Africa kind of make a loop. It had been Nigeria, then Ghana, then Uganda, then now Kenya, and as far as I know, there's a number of countries that are also contemplating drafting bills, right? This does not stand apart from what we've seen globally in terms of the regression of the rights of people generally, and particularly a very well-funded, well-oiled anti-rights, anti-choice, anti-democracy, anti-gender machine. In terms of what comes next, I guess we sit and wait for the gazettement of the bill, and we push back against it. Kia kaha, which means stay strong, keep strong, and I think my message to the community would be to keep strong, right? This is a fight that has been brought to our door, and we're not going to lay down and accept that we become criminals by virtue of who we are born as, that we become criminals by virtue of saying our truths, right? And it's unfortunate that we're pushing back in an environment that has been so vile, so homophobic, so under-resourced, so overworked. But if nothing else, we have faith. If nothing else, we have hope.